Okay, I hope everybody's doing well. You should be finished with your first quiz, or at least working on this to get ready for your first quiz, however you're doing it. But I'm going to go ahead and record Chapter 2, and then you can watch this whenever you're ready to start working on that homework. I will post homework today or tomorrow, and it'll be due in about a week, okay? So just remember, even though you have a week to take the test, doesn't mean that you don't need to keep up with this homework too, okay? It's not to take the test a week after we go over it, okay? So in this one, we're going to be talking about formulas. And a formula is an equation usually expressed in letters called variables and numbers. Now, a variable is a symbol, and it's usually a letter used to represent some unknown number or quantity. So, for example, the formula S equals V times T. It states that the distance traveled equals the product of the velocity times time. So S, in this case, is going to be the distance traveled. Okay, so S stands for distance traveled. V stands for velocity. Whoops. I don't know why that keeps doing that. Velocity. And T stands for time. Okay? So these are called variables. This whole thing here is called an equation. Okay? So another example would be I equals Q over T, where I is current, Q is charge over time T. Okay, so these are the variables, and they represent some word or equation, etc. So to solve a formula for a given letter, that means to express the letter or variable in terms of all the remaining letters. So you could rewrite the formula so that you're solving for a different equation. So if we started with S equals V times T again, but what if instead of S we wanted to solve for V? Okay, so what if we wanted to solve S equals V times T for the letter, V? So what you would do, you write your equation, S equals V times T. Now, just like I showed you before in the preview stuff, we got to get V by itself. Now this is a multiplication here, V times T, so you're going to divide both sides by T. So we can get V by itself. So T's cancel. So now we have V equals S over T. And that's how you solve for a variable. Another one would be, just like we were looking at, I equals Q over T. And now this time we want to solve for Q. Okay? So to do that, again, you got to get Q by itself. Since this is a division, you're going to multiply both sides by T. So I times T equals Q divided by T times T. We do that, T cancels, and you have Q equals I times T. And that is our formula. Okay? Another one that we could look at would be this. What if we had V equals E minus I times R, and we want to solve for R. Okay, so how would we do that? We got to get R again by itself. So to do that, we're going to say, we're going to subtract E by both sides to start with, so we can get this IR together. So that's going to be V minus E equals E minus IR minus E. So see, this cancels. So now you have V minus E equals I times R. I times minus R. Don't forget this minus sign. Now we want to get R by itself because we're solving for R. So we're going to divide both sides by minus I, since that's a multiplication. So to do that, you're going to get V minus E divided by minus I equals minus I times R divided by minus I. So here, minus I cancels. And now you have r equals v minus e divided by minus I. So that's how you solve that in terms of r. All right, let's do one a little more complicated, okay? Let's solve this formula. So we're going to solve the formula x equals xi plus vi times t plus 1/2 a times t squared. And we're going to solve this for vi. Okay? So we just take it step by step. We're going to take this formula here, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to subtract VIT from both sides. So we're going to subtract VIT from both sides to get the XI by itself. Okay? So remember, we have this XI here first, okay? I was looking at my notes and noticed an error. X minus VIT equals XI plus VIT plus 1/2 AT squared minus VIT. So now see, this VIT and this VIT cancels, and you end up with x minus VIT equals XI plus 1/2 AT squared. Now we're going to subtract x by both sides, or minus x from both sides. So that's going to be x minus VIT minus x equals XI plus 1/2 AT squared minus x. Okay? So that's going to cancel these two. And now you get minus VIT equals XI plus 1/2 AT squared minus x. Now we're going to divide negative IT from both sides. So that's going to be, negative t minus VIT divided by minus t equals XI plus 1/2 A plus 1/2 AT squared minus x. And all that's going to be divided by minus t. Now these two will cancel, so that's going to give you VI equals, so this negative also cancels, so that's going to give you VI equals XI, so let's move that down just a little bit. VI equals XI plus 1/2 AT squared minus x divided by minus t. Okay? Whoops, go back. So that's how you would solve this one. So just take your time, work through the steps, and you'll be fine, okay? But whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side of the equation. So please don't forget that. Let's do another one. So what if we have one like this? What if we have solve A equals pi d squared divided by 4, and we want to solve this one for d, okay? So A equals pi d squared divided by 4. So first of all, we want to get this rid of this 4 here. So to do that, since it's division, we're going to multiply both sides by 4. So when we do that, that's going to cancel, and you're going to get 4a equals pi d squared. Okay, and we're still trying to solve for d. So now we want to get this pi separate. So this is multiplication, so we're going to divide both sides by pi. So both sides by pi, pi is going to cancel, and now you have 4a divided by pi equals d squared. Now remember, from before, to get rid of the square, you got to take the square root of both sides. So when we do that, we get d equals the square root of 4a divided by pi. Now remember, this is going to be plus or minus, but since minus doesn't really matter here, you can't get it undefined, you just drop the minus and it's just going to be plus. Okay? Now when you finish this section, I want you to do 1 through 41 odd. And I'll send a message out to tell you which ones. But I hope that you're watching these videos. I guess I'll know when you take the first quiz. Alright, so that's how you solve for formulas. But now, what is that going to help us? How do we really use this? Well, to use it, you're going to actually put in data into the formulas and solve for an equation or a number. Okay? There's two ways to do it. One way is to solve the formula for the unknown variable, just like we just did, and then substitute. Or you can substitute first and then solve for the unknown. But for me, I like to solve for the unknown first and then substitute it. It just makes things easier. Because once you start putting in m squared and cm squared and m and all that, the numbers start looking pretty bad if you don't solve it first. So let's look at one. If you're given the formula a equals bh, where a equals 120 meters squared, b equals 15 meters, and we want to find h. So the way I would do that is, the way I usually do a formula is I write out the formula I'm looking for, and then I write my unknowns, and I write it all in let's see, I usually try to do it like this. So a equals b times h. And then over here to the side I put everything I know. 120 meters squared, b equals 15 meters, and then what am I looking for? I'm looking for h. So I try to write all that down first, and then I go back and try to solve it, okay? Well, in our case, we're solving for h, because we have a and we have b, so we need to solve for h. So to do that, just like before, you're going to a equals b times h. Well, that's a multiplication, so you're going to divide both sides by b. So b's are going to cancel there, and you get h equals a divided by b. Now once you have that, then you can do your substitution. So a divided by b, a is going to be 120 meters squared divided by b, which is 15 meters. So when you solve that with your calculator, you get 8 meters equals h. And how we get that, m squared divided by m is equal to m, okay? Because remember, that's a 1, so you subtract 1, so that just leaves 1, so you just drop the 1, so it's 8 meters equals h, okay? So that's how you do that. Let's solve another one. So what if we're given p equals 2a plus 2b, and we want to find b? So what we have is, we know that p equals 824 centimeters. We know that a equals 292 centimeters, and we don't know b. So we need to solve for b. So we start with our equation, p equals 2a plus 2b. So first of all, we want to get, we're trying to get b by itself, so we need to get rid of this 2a. So we're going to subtract 2a from both sides. Minus 2a. So that's going to get rid of this 2a here. And now we have p minus 2a equals 2b. Now we need to get b by itself, so it's multiplication. So we're going to divide both sides by 2. So that's going to cancel. And b equals p minus 2a divided by 2. So if we go ahead and we put in what we have, p equals 824 centimeters minus 2 times a is 292 centimeters, and all that divided by 2. So we do our multiplication and everything here, 824, we can bring that down, minus 2 times 292 is 584 centimeters, and all that is divided by 2. So then we get 240 centimeters divided by 2, and that's going to equal 120 centimeters. And so B equals 120 centimeters. And that's how you solve that. Really easy, same thing we've been doing. Now we're just adding numbers. Okay? Let's try another one. If we have a formula, A equals A plus B divided by 2 times H. Okay? A equals 150 meters squared. B equals 18 meters, and C equals 10 meters. What is little a? Okay, so we need to solve for little a. So to do that, first of all, we need to get this 2 by itself. So we're going to multiply all this by 2. So to do that, we're going to get 2a equals parentheses a minus b squared times h. Let's put just the big parentheses here. H and all that times 2. Okay, so we'll multiply everything by 2. So when we do that, we know this is going to cancel. So you're going to get 2a equals a plus b, a plus b h. Okay, now again, remember we're solving for a, little a, so we still got to get it by itself. So let's multiply the h throughout the parentheses. So that's going to be AH plus BH. Okay. So now we want to subtract BH from both sides. So we get 2A minus BH equals AH plus BH minus BH. So that's going to cancel. And we're going to get 2A minus BH equals AH. We need to get this A by itself, so we're going to divide both sides by H. So we do that, that cancels. And now A equals, let's put it up here. A equals 2 times A minus BH divided by H. So let's put in what we have. So it'll be 2 times 150 centimeters squared minus B, which is 18 meters, times C, which is 10 meters, and all that will be divided by H. C. Oh, this should be H, not C. I wonder where that comes from. H, which is 10 meters. So when we solve all that, we're going to end up with 2 times 150 is 300 meters squared, minus 18 times 10 meters is 180 meters squared, and all that divided by 10 meters. So that's going to equal 120 meters squared divided by 10 meters, which is going to equal 12 meters for A. And again, remember, meters squared divided by meters equals meters. Okay? Don't forget that or it kind of gets confusing. Alright. So the next part to this is using the problem solving method. Now with the problem solving method, you need to read the problem first. Problem. Why that keeps doing that? Problem solving method. So first, you're going to read the problem. Sorry about my handwriting, it's hard to write on this tablet. 2, you're going to make a sketch of the problem so you can understand it and read it very good. You're going to write all the given information. like I showed you a while ago. That's very important to help you solve these problems, so you can see what's given and then figure out what you need to solve for, or what formula to use in some cases. Then you're going to write the unknown or quantity. So what are you looking for? Then you're going to write the basic equation and see if you need to solve for it in some way. Then you're going to find the working equation by solving. So solve for the unknown, or what you're looking for. Then you're going to substitute data into your equation. Okay, then you're going to perform your operations. And then you can check your answer by working backwards. Okay, so that's all you have to do. Alright, so let's look and see if we can figure out how to do one of these. Now it's going to be hard to draw on this board, but I'll do an easy one. Let's do this one. If we have a sphere and we're looking for the radius, and we know the area equals 725 centimeters squared. So here's our data. A equals 725 centimeters squared, and we know we're looking for the radius. So we got to figure out what formula we need, and that formula is going to be A equals pi r squared for the area of a circle, right? So we're looking for r though, so we've got to get r by itself. Okay, so to do that, we're going to take the square root of both sides, but first let's get r by itself. So let's multiply both sides by pi. So A equals pi r, or divide both sides by pi. That's going to cancel that. Now we have r squared equals A divided by pi. Now remember, we got to get rid of the square here, so we take the both sides by square root of both sides, okay? So it's going to be r equals the square root of A pi. So now we just plug it in. A is 725 centimeters squared, square root pi. So first you say 725 centimeters squared divided by pi, and take the square root of that, and you're going to equal 15.2 centimeters, and that's our radius. Okay, so that's how you work those type of problems, and there's some good examples in your book. You need to read those, okay? Also, you will need to pay attention to your equations here. These are very important for volume, so let's look at that real quick. So our basic equation for volume is V equals L times WH. Okay, L times WH. Our basic equation for volume is length times width times height. Okay. For a cylinder, our basic equation for a cylinder is going to be V equals pi r squared times h. Pi times the radius squared times the height. And again, for a sphere, it's going to be what we just did. It's going to be, or a circle, it's going to be pi r squared. Area equals pi r squared. Okay, those are going to be your basic equations that you'll need to pay attention to. Alright, so now I want you to work problems 1 through 31 odd on pages 60 and 61. Okay, pages 60 and 61. And that's going to be all of chapter 2. Okay, and don't forget the problems before that on page 51 and 52. I want you to work 1 through 41 odd. Okay, and those will be due one day next week. I'll be putting a post about this video and also which homework when it'll be due. Okay, remember, keep working on this stuff.